Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and here's a brand spanking new headline from You Today. Ripple signs 15 new contracts with banks despite SEC lawsuit. Now, this article in and of itself, it stems from this piece from Reuters titled, "The blockchain firm Ripple sees no fallout in Asia Pacific from SEC lawsuit." And indeed, Ripple's been landing a ton of new clients despite the SEC action against them, declaring that XRP is a security. It certainly is not today, that's for damn sure. But it's interesting to see how things are unfolding here. And so this actually, the story on Reuters, it actually resulted from an interview with Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. And part of what fascinates me tremendously about this is not just that they're new customers, but that we know for sure that some of them will be utilizing on-demand liquidity, which utilizes, of course, XRP as a bridge currency. So we know functionally that these developments, the developments I'm going to be talking about in this video, directly impact the utility of XRP. And my personal investment thesis is that utility matters and will win the day. Those cryptocurrencies that functionally solve a problem in the real world deserve to have staying power, and they deserve to be traded on open markets, cryptocurrency exchanges, in perpetuity, so long as they're solving a real world problem. That's why I think that over 7,000 cryptocurrencies on the planet, mind you, vast majority of them will go to zero. Now, given that they're utilizing distributed ledger technology, it's not like they're just going to be forced into non-existence, but they will effectively be forced into obsolescence, because what's going to happen as the asset class matures is cryptocurrency exchanges are just going to be delisting all sorts of cryptocurrencies, because, you know, as an emphasis and importance is placed on actual usage, real world adoption, it's going to result in a tremendous reduction in trade volume, and then markets won't be able to support those coins, and that's how they go extinct, like my favorite avian creature, the dodo. All right, so into this piece from Reuters. Check this out. This is all awesome stuff. Blockchain payments firm Ripple has not experienced any fallout in its Asia Pacific business after being sued by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the company's chief executive officer said on Friday. In late December, the SEC charged Ripple, which is associated with cryptocurrency XRP, with conducting a $1.3 billion unregistered securities offering. After that, the top U.S. cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase shut down trading in XRP, which is the world's 7th largest cryptocurrency by market value. And here's a quote. "It, the lawsuit, has hindered activity in the United States, but it has not really impacted what's going on for us in Asia Pacific," said Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple's chief executive officer. And so it's just so fascinating to see this, because I think a lot of people don't get this, and I understand. So about half of my audience is in the United States, so it's a big chunk. And for all of us here in the United States, it's easy to just feel like this is the center of the universe. But it's actually not the case. You know, the United States only accounts for somewhere in the neighborhood, or at least this was the percentage roughly before the SEC action. I don't know what it is actually today. That would be interesting to take a look at. But, you know, U.S. historically has only accounted for about 10% of actual trade volume here. And I can't remember for sure what the percentage of Ripple's customers are that are in the United States, but I actually think the figure, I'd have to go check. So, like, you know, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that it's 10% of their clients are in the United States and 90% are outside of the United States. And so it's very clear that the rest of the world, they're aware of this litigation of the SEC versus Ripple, but it's really not impacting anything. In fact, Ripple ended up landing customers faster in the weeks after the news broke of the SEC going after them. They were landing clients faster than what they were averaging for all of the calendar year 2020. The pace actually picked up. And I think it was 15 customers were announced over in like several weeks. And I'll show you some tweets. I just got to bring them up and it'll refresh it. But I've got them lined up for this video here. But anyway, let me continue with this here. We have been able to continue to grow the business in Asia and Japan because we've had regulatory clarity in those markets, he said. That's Brad Garlinghouse, of course. Adding that he did not know of any exchange outside the United States that had halted XRP trading. And here's another quote from Garlinghouse. XRP is traded on over 200 exchanges around the world. It's really only 3 or 4 exchanges in the United States that have halted trading, he said. Garlinghouse was one of 2 of the firm's executives alleged by the SEC in December of personally gaining about $600 million received from the unregistered offering. Financial regulators around the world are looking to decide how they should regulate the cryptocurrency industry. The outcome of their assessments could determine whether cryptocurrencies will grow into mainstream assets or remain niche products. Gary Gensler, President Joe Biden's nominee to lead the SEC, promised during his congressional confirmation hearing to provide, quote, guidance and clarity to the cryptocurrency market. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. I'm not going to hold my breath. Hopefully okay, but that's why, I keep saying this too, and I firmly mean this. Like, it'd be great if Gary Gensler would just come around and not try and squash every cryptocurrency that isn't Bitcoin. Because if you actually were able to, in the United States, squash Ripple and XRP, if you were, it's bad days for every other cryptocurrency on the planet in the United States. So that's why I keep saying, thankfully, it's not up to Gary. He can push for this or that along with the SEC, but in the end, this has to be adjudicated in the court of law. And so it'll be the legal system that determines who's right, who's wrong, and the actual status of XRP, whether or not it is indeed a security. So I'm thankful for that. Now, you can get bad law, but usually that's not the case. I think more times than not, whatever ends up happening in court, more likely than not, will be what is just. It's not guaranteed, but nothing's perfect. It's not a perfect system, but there are worse systems out there on the planet. But anyway, I digress. While Bitcoin is considered a commodity by the U.S. financial regulators, most other cryptocurrencies have yet to be classified as commodities or securities. Ripple has signed more than 15 new contracts with banks globally since the SEC brought its lawsuit, Garlinghouse said, adding that he believed the lack of clarity in the United States has been a hindrance to innovation. And here's a final quote. We're seeing the activity of XRP liquidity has grown outside the United States and continues to grow in Asia, certainly in Japan. So it's picking up. XRP market's looking better, looking healthier despite this. And liquidity is of the utmost importance. And so I do want to, just as a quick reminder, there's a very short Twitter thread. It matters for context and for understanding the story. This comes from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. This is from January 25th this year, 2021. And he wrote the following. 2020 was a banner year for Ripple despite a disappointing ending related to U.S. regulation. And then in parentheses, he wrote, understatement, ? And I say, yeah, a little bit of an understatement, but that's okay. We processed millions of Ripple net transactions, grew on-demand liquidity 12-fold year over year, and signed 15 new customers after the SEC complaint. And so Ripple X contributed to XRP-L version upgrades, created a tool with Energy Web so anyone can help decarbonize the blockchain of their choice. Crypto can be sustainably, writes in parentheses, and is helping to build new use cases for XRP with other industry participants. We added 100 plus new faces to the Ripple team, including several leadership members. We have an incredible, resilient team in place to tackle 2021 and beyond. No matter what, we'll stay true to our mission of building an internet of value. And that's amazing. Think about it. Again, 15 new customers. You're talking about over a span of about a month. I mean, that's about 2 per week. That's faster than they'd been growing previously. And then there was this from Ashish Burla, and this is exciting to me because it's not just that they're new customers, it's that they're going to be utilizing on-demand liquidity. And so Ashish Burla, on February 22nd, he put out this short Twitter thread, and it was in response to the whole story about MoneyGram. Sure, most of you know. I'm not going to get into it if you're not aware. Sorry, I'll just mention it though. MoneyGram has paused the utilization of on-demand liquidity, and it is because of the regulatory uncertainty out there, thanks to the SEC going after Ripple. And so Ashish Burla, who is the general manager of RippleNet, he wanted to address this, and so he did, and he wrote the following. In 2019, we signed a multi-year deal with MoneyGram, still fully in place. They've temporarily suspended using on-demand liquidity for obvious reasons, regulatory uncertainty at this time. As a public company headquartered in the United States, they have to err on the conservative side. CEO Alex Holmes, that's MoneyGram CEO, of course, Alex Holmes, said today, quote, "We're pausing those activities just more for an abundance of caution than with any other concerns about it. We've had a great relationship with Ripple, and it'd be great to continue to partner with them." And then Ashish wrapped up by stating this, and this is the reason I pulled up this thread. This is the exciting part to me. "We anticipate a path forward to resume on-demand liquidity with MoneyGram. Regardless, we have 24 plus other on-demand liquidity customers in various stages of production in and outside the United States." And in parentheses, he wrote, "New customers to be announced soon. Everyone take a deep breath." And so there you go. New on-demand liquidity customers are on the way. And we already know, I believe the figure is 20% of all RippleNet transactions utilize on-demand liquidity, which is amazing because there's only a handful of corridors that are open today, which brings me to this thread. I was tagged in this along with others in the XRP community by @SwagmasterMP on the Twitter. So thank you very much, my friend, for tagging me. I do appreciate it. And he retweeted this from John Kiff. I wasn't familiar with John Kiff, but in his Twitter bio, he writes, "I'm an IMF," so the International Monetary Fund, "IMF financial sector wonk, but opinions are my own and shouldn't be attributed to the IMF, its executive board, or its management. Retweets, not endorsements." And so on March 4th, he wrote the following. "Ripple had weaseled itself into the good graces of many international financial institutions and central banks, but as far as I know, there are few, if any, solid engagements. But I think you're right that they have traction with the private sector with some non-XRP products." Excuse me. And so you can tell by the way that he worded this that he's biased. Now, that was retweeted by SwagmasterMP, who tagged me again and wrote, "This IMF guy doesn't seem very impressed with Ripple and what they are doing behind the scenes. What say you?" Well, I simply state that he's biased, and the way that he's framing it is not the way that I'd frame it. Even if here's the interesting things, like even if he and I agree on the facts, and hopefully we could, because facts are facts, whether you like them or not. Even if we agree on the facts, he can frame something one way, and I would frame it differently for sure, because he used the word weaseled. So think about this. And this is why I don't know what his beef is. I don't know. Maybe he's a Bitcoin maximalist. I don't know. But he clearly is not fond of Ripple and probably not XRP. So Ripple weaseled itself into the good graces of many international financial institutions and central banks. Weaseled? You're talking about networking and people building relationships, business relationships. How is that weaseling? It's functionally useful. And so to me, that seems like a disingenuous way to frame all of this. He can have his opinion. That's fine. Nothing against John Kiff personally. Again, I don't even know the guy. I just happen to disagree with him. But, I don't need people to agree with me on anything for me to like them. I appreciate diversity of thought. So as long as people are being intellectually honest, if I believe somebody's being intellectually dishonest, then I lose respect, and I just don't really want to engage in conversation because it won't be productive. So it depends. I mean, if he really feels that way, okay, but I need some articulation as to what constitutes the weaseling. I don't see anything like that. I just see that Ripple's a juggernaut of a company trying to change the way money moves around the planet, and they built some serious relationships, and good for them. Good on them. I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome here. And so then, again, part of what he wrote here also is that, as far as I know, there are few, if any, solid engagements, but I think you're right about that they have traction with the private sector with some non-XRP products. Well, look, they have traction with the private sector with XRP products. Again, as I just cited, about 20% of RippleNet transactions utilize XRP, which is pretty substantial. And so as far as them getting traction, holy hell, it's like, this comes back to how you want to frame something and what your motivation is to frame something one way as opposed to another. Because I look at the fact that Ripple has taken on what seems like from the beginning, it must have seemed like just some sort of seriously insurmountable task. Like the audacity to think that you could fundamentally replace SWIFT and change the way that money moves around the planet, create the internet of value. That's audacious. It's very bold. It's awesome. It's to be admired. But it doesn't happen like snap of a finger. That is not how this is all going to work. This has to get built out over time. Now, for XRP to functionally be used, you have to have a sufficient blend of not just price, but also liquidity. Ripple cannot control the degree to which there is liquidity in crypto markets, and XRP today is simply following the price action and maturation curve of Bitcoin in a general sense. It just does. Not down to the second, the minute, the day, the week, so on and so forth, but it does. That it absolutely does. Ripple can't control that. And so part of what's going to happen in order for on-demand liquidity to be built out, in order for there to be actual liquidity on exchanges, for market makers to do their jobs, you need to have a lot more people trading it. And a higher price would be nice too. If the more liquidity, the higher the price, the more you can do with it. But today, you're talking about the most illiquid asset class on the entire planet, the cryptocurrency asset class. And you're talking about XRP. I didn't check before recording this video, but what's the market cap? 25 billion. Even with XRP moving fast, that's not enough. That's not enough to open up corridors the world over and just like snap of the finger replace Swift. And so to me, the progress that they've made, having hundreds and hundreds of customers utilizing RippleNet with about 20% of flows going through on-demand liquidity, to me, that's tremendously impressive because on-demand liquidity has only been a functional enterprise-grade product on the market since October of 2018. It's been about 2.5 years. And they already have dozens and dozens of customers using it despite the fact that crypto markets are illiquid. So to me, that's incredible. So to frame that as not getting traction, to me, that is inaccurate. You can look at it and say, oh my God, but if you want to frame it a different way, you could talk about how there's 11,000 banks on the planet or whatever the number is, and you've only got a couple dozen remittance firms utilizing on-demand liquidity. Like, oh my gosh, it's a failure. It's not getting traction. Okay, you can frame it like that if you want, but what's your motivation for doing that? Because to me, it strikes me as potentially disingenuous, or you have a misunderstanding of what would be a reasonable adoption curve for this technology. So which is it? I don't know for sure. I don't know what's in this guy's heart and mind. I just have a different opinion. So again, nothing personal against him. I just happen to look at this differently, and I think I have a reasonable understanding of all of this. But given that he's at the IMF, it's kind of hard for me to figure how could he not know that isn't a logical position to come from. I don't know. So which is why I'm asking, is he a Bitcoin maximalist? Is that the reason? Is there something else going on here? I'm not sure, but to frame it like that, to me, just doesn't make a damn bit of sense. But yeah, I'm happy to acknowledge that, and I do it all the time. There's XRP is not sufficiently liquid, but Ripple has made great strides in the adoption of RippleNet and on-demand liquidity, meaning XRP is a bridge currency. So I'm feeling great as long as it keeps going, and hopefully at some point see more of an exponential increase. All good. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it 2 thumbs up. You guys can tell me what you think, though. I'll wrap up here. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.